Hey everybody, Eric here. Today I'm going to show you how to remove the bearing races and seals out of the front end of a Polaris ATV. This is a Scrambler 500, 2003 model. Tons of years and other models have similar if not identical parts, so it's all the same. Bearings are bearings, guys. Changed out thousands of these in hundreds of different machines. There's a right way, there's a very, very wrong way to do this. We have two bearing races and a seal in the hub. We have to drive out and drive back in. We have two bearing races and a seal in the hub strut. We have to drive out and drive back in. If we damage these bores driving out the old parts, putting the new parts in, it's going to be virtually impossible to get them in correctly. If we damage the new parts putting them in, well, that just makes the whole job pointless. Okay, so on this particular strut, I've already removed the front seats, the front bearing seats, sometimes I call them, and I'm going to try to give you a closer up view here in a second. But on this inner ledge right here, from like the 5 o'clock position all the way over to about 9 o'clock, are at least 4 huge indentations made from at least 4 blows with a hammer and chisel before they realized, whoever did this before, they were not hitting on the bearing seat and driving it out. They're actually hitting on the ledge for the bottom of the inner bearing. On this outer ledge here, there's at least 10 blows, which can only have come from a punch trying to drive the new bearing seat into place. Every one of these blows, almost every one of them, is mushroomed the interior of this metal out. I have several hours worth of work with a Dremel tool I'm gonna have to do to clearance this to be able to accept a new bearing. Okay, a lot of work I got ahead of me here to make this hopefully be able to save that strut hub. I haven't removed this one yet. This one is not nearly as damaged, but there's still a huge spot right here where actually was struck with that punch and pushed the metal over on top of the bearing race itself. Another good spot here, and I can't really show you the exact spot, but if you in the right light, you'll see the wear mark where the bearing is riding on that spot, on that punch mark, because it's compressing this bearing race. None of this is how you install races, guys. And these, really the only proper tool is to buy the bearing race and seal installer tools that you can buy now almost anywhere for pretty cheap. This is one of the bearing races. All the bearing races are the same size, all 4, and a 50 millimeter is the perfect fit for this race. Okay, the OD is slightly smaller than the OD of your race. It's a perfect size fit for your cup. Use this to install your races. These kits come with a attachment that you can drive it in with a hammer. I have a press, so I'll just use this and use this tool to press that in straight and neatly into the bore when I'm done. I also have in the same kit, I use a 72 millimeter. It's a perfect size for putting your seal in on the inside of your hub there, your strut hub, whatever the hell they call it. And then the largest one I had was an 81 millimeter, which will be for the seal on the other end of your hub. Okay. almost any other attempt to put these seals in, you're just going to damage them. It's very thin metal. Start hitting around this with a hammer or a punch is pointless. Installing these races with anything else, hammering on these is just, please just don't do it. I've had this hammer here since probably 1992. And I know from experience that if I even used this brass hammer onto this race, I would be damaging it. Okay? Think about what a hardened steel punch is doing. Okay? This is just all garbage now. All 8 races on this whole vehicle are gone. So, you'll also see on this seal, if I can get you the right angle, it's not nearly pressed in all the way. And there's a huge indentation here because we're hit with a punch. And it's all deformed there, so it's not sealing right. Okay, so guys, let me show you, most importantly, how to remove these without doing any damage. This is where it all starts. Pressing them back in is really not that big a deal. So I want to start with the hub. I'm gonna knock these guys out here and we'll show you what to do. I got just a couple bolts left holding this on. I'm not squeezing that sprocket in the vise, I'm just holding it as a little bit of a support. If anybody's wondering, man, it's not good to do that to your rotor. It's not held on tight. Okay, so now we've got to make sure what we're going to do is, first of all, I don't even like using a hardened steel punch or a hardened steel chisel, for the simple fact that you can really, this is a hardened steel and you can do a lot of damage to this bore hitting it with one of those. So I actually have an old screwdriver. It's pretty nice rounded edge, no sharp edges on it. I've wrapped it all real good with electrical tape to make sure I don't scratch anything. And I know this metal is actually a little softer than anything that's in here, so what's going to be real crucial and what we're going to do is we're going to make real good sharp hits, one hit at a time. I'm going to start on one end and I'm going to make sure I'm on the edge of that bearing race, not on any other part of this assembly. I'm going to make sure I'm holding firmly in position and make one good wrap against that. Then I'm going to come across, exactly across from it, and I'll make one good wrap here. I'm going to go back and forth. One hit, one good solid whack at a time. Maybe 4, 5, 6 hits, it'll probably come right out. Okay? So, it's not as hard as you think. We just don't want to damage anything while we're doing it. So, go ahead and we'll just start here and see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's moving already, guys. 6. I'm not even going to hit it that hard anymore. When I start moving out, I don't hit it as hard. I don't want that bearing race to cock in there real bad. Almost out. Okay. Like I said, slow down at the end because I don't want the bearing race to get twisted in the hole. All right. And we're going to turn it over. I'm going to make sure we find the correct edge. So you see the edge the old bearing was. We got to get on the edge of the old bearing race. Okay? Don't confuse yourself where you're pounding against, like was done on that one. Okay, so one good hit. Here. Oh, that one's moving good. it is. How's that one? Easy peasy, right? Didn't do any damage to any of this bore, okay? Other than what was already there. So, now we got two. Oh, excuse me. We also have the seal. And you're just gonna have to reach deep in there with the seal with your screwdriver and get underneath it. Right here. I'm gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna go back and forth, side to side. You just have to hold this in your hand because you can't hold it flat. And don't worry, you're gonna destroy these when you take them out. So. Okay, there's your seal. That's all you got to take loose from this. From here, you're just putting new bearings back in, new races back in, new seal back in, using the tools that I showed you. Either with hammering them in or using a press. Same deal with this one. We're gonna reach in here and make sure we catch the edge of the inner race, okay? Make sure you support your stuff good. I always do this on like a wooden table, because I don't want to damage whatever I'm hammering against on the bottom. Boom. There's that one. One more. No damage done. And here it gets a little, yeah, I don't want to put too much pressure on my shock either. Last one, same thing. Make sure you get on the bearing edge, the bearing race edge. Come out. Last one. All four out. It's really not that hard. Use the right tool. Don't damage anything taking it out. At this point, before you even think about putting your new races in, clean every bit of this out really, really well. Where your racers are going to go and where your seals are going to go. Clean all this off. And see if we can knock this seal out too. Forgot about that one. Reach in there the same way. The front one is a lot tighter here. That seal wasn't even in there hardly. Barely in there. Oh, the seal. You can see all the dirt and gunk that's been getting in it because it's not really sealing anything. It's not in there correctly. Like I said, all this has to be very, very cleaned out, and even take some sandpaper, clean all this out very good so that you know when you go to put this back in, it'll seal up well. You might even, the seals are really the harder part to get in than the bearing seats. You might even take a little sandpaper and clean the outside edges of this seal off of that paint off of it so that it'll be smoother going in. And definitely take a little bit of grease or oil and put around all the edges of your new bearing races and your seals before you try to press them in. Most importantly, any burrs at all, clean all that stuff off. There's all kinds of them in here that I gotta clean off from whoever tried doing this the last time. So, knock them out the right way. You won't do any damage going back in. Put them in with the tools and you'll be good to go. All right? So, thanks everybody for watching. I hope this helps some of y'all out. So, see you later.